went on a skiing holiday and I never skied for more than an hour and 20 minutes the whole week. It was the reason I left Morrison's. And my uncle, like, when I was like 21, he was like taking his family skiing, and he was just like, if you want to come, like, I'd love to come skiing with this sort of thing. Like, I'll pay for it, and you just need to spend the money, which was like fucking what, a free holiday to fucking Italy skiing. Like, that's amazing. Holiday. So I said to work at the time where I worked at Morrison's, like stacking shelves, like, can I get the time off? And you cannot take the holiday. You cannot have it because somebody's already on holiday. And I'm like, well, I'm not gonna miss out on this holiday. So I guess I'll just leave, because I was like, you know, you're talking about a minimum wage job in your 20s, and you're talking about going on holiday, a free holiday for the first time in your life. You can go and get a dead-end job any other time. Like, it's not a big deal. And I remember the manager from the Morrisons, like, coming to speak to us, like, well, what will you do when you come back? And I'm like, get another job. And he's just like, oh, well, do you think you'll be able to do that sort of thing? And I was like, well, I was able to get this one. And I was like, you're talking about a minimum wage job? Like, are you saying, am I going to come back with no arms so I cannot stack shelves? I went on to skiing holiday, and I'm fucking terrible when it comes to anything like fitness related. And I'm like not fit by anyone's fucking standards. Like, I remember I would like done an hour's lesson, and also would learn was a thing called snowplow, where basically you just point your two skis in, and that's meant to slow you down. It's called like the nursery slope, which is like the beginner slope. And I mean, like, the incline's nothing. So we did that for like an hour, and then my uncle was like, he was a bit more experienced. He's like, we'll just go the next one up, we'll be fine. But it turns out like all the slopes are like color graded in terms of difficulty. So I think, if I remember rightly, I'm sure it was like green, red, and then black being like the hardest. And they're all like crisscross over each other, so you kind of have to know which way to go, otherwise the difficulty ramps up. So we did start on a green run, but we crossed over onto like a red run. It was like, and I'd been skiing for like an hour. So it's my first time skiing, and I'm flying down this red run, and I'm trying to snowplow. But snowplow doesn't slow you down at a certain point, you know what I mean? Like, when you're a big heavy lad, and then you know what I mean? You're meant to kind of like swoosh to the side. That's the official term, swooshing. It isn't. Down, I couldn't stop, and like some sort of like child cartoon, like an Acme cartoon of some kind. There was like literally a sign that obviously was in Italian, and I couldn't read it. It was basically just a picture of like a guy falling off the side of the cliff, and like rocks falling with him. It was just like, there was like this really rubbish plastic barrier that I would fly through no problem. So I was like, I've got to stop. If I don't stop, I'm gonna go over this edge and, you know, land on rocks and die or some shit. Come back with no arms, and then my manager would have been right the whole time. I cannot get a job stacking shelves. So I'm flying down this fucking mountain towards this cliff edge, essentially. I'm like, well, what the hell? What can I do? So I'm like, well, I'm just gonna have to turn away as hard as I can, and if I fall, I fall or whatever. As hard as I could, and ended up doing the splits. So I like teabagged the snow, but like bounced, and I like bounced and like kind of span in the air, and like fell. And obviously I was like, you know, 21, and there was like all these like really attractive Italian women like laughing at us, you know, like this is like hell. But I lay down and I was like, it's fine, it's just embarrassing, but it's fine. But then the pain hit us, and I had like searing pain on the inside of my leg, and it like made us like curl up into like fetal position. It was that painful, and I'd never felt pain like it in my life. It was like insane. And my uncle came over, and he was just like, you okay? And I was just like, no more. And he's like, let's see if we can get you up. And so I said to my uncle, like, oh, how, like, you know, can you take my skis off? And he's like, are you fucking kidding us? He's like, one ski went that way and the other one went that way. He tried to get us up, and I couldn't. I mean, what I'd found out I'd done obviously after the fact is I'd like torn the muscle on the inside of my leg, and like, which just caused like severe bruising, and like basically meant I had needed like a week of bed rest. So that wasn't even just the end of it. Like, because I couldn't walk and we were quite high up on the mountain, they had to like send a guy to come and basically get us. So he came with like a stretcher, but this guy was like the most Austrian guy you've ever met in your life. It was like Arnold Schwarzenegger. They'd sent Arnold Schwarzenegger to bring us down, but he put us in the stretcher and like strapped us in it. He stunk of alcohol, so he was clearly pissed. Took us in, so I couldn't move. Like, I'm like straight jacketed in this thing, and I shut my eyes, and he tapped us in the forehead, and like to like open my eyes, and he went, "You no sleep." I was just like, what the fuck? You no sleep. Just tapped us though, like dead center. Like, you might as well have just slapped us. It was basically a slap, but so that he could get away from not saying that I'd been slapped. You know what I mean? Basically, he wanted to be like, "You no be bitch," and I'm like, fuck's sake. Because it was like a stretcher, and then it had like these two bars off it so that he could steer it behind him and ski us down the mountain. Skied us down to the bottom of the mountain. And then it was like my family will come and meet us at the bottom sort of thing. Skied us down to the bottom of this the mountain where obviously like the first aid hut is sort of thing. Like the where it's like it's basically a onesie, but it's like for skiing obviously, so it's like double lined and stuff. All in one. I think it's called a salopette. But the sleeves are quite thick, and he pulled a stubby beer out, pulled his a fucking stubby out of his sleeve and just cracked and started drinking. He was just like, "Now we wait," because just had to wait for me family to come.